What is going on, everyone? So, Gordon Hayward is out indefinitely. Hornets forward will miss time with fractured shoulder and will undergo further evaluations. Source: Charlotte's Gordon Hayward will be sidelined indefinitely due to fracture in his left shoulder. Hornets expect Hayward to miss some time, and he's undergoing further evaluation. This is news not only for Charlotte, but I believe for the Lakers as well. There's lots of talks for months now of a Hornets-Lakers deal. Gordon Hayward being a piece in that trade, in that deal. And I've talked about how I would love Gordon Hayward. I think Gordon Hayward might be one of, if not the best fits in the NBA next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Swiss Army knife, a guy that can do everything, right? Pass the ball, defend, shoot, score. You can run your offense through him. He just makes the right plays. Just such a good player. Problem is, this poor guy cannot stay healthy. This dude got plagued with an injury bug and just hasn't been able to shake it in years. And it's not just like the same injury over and over. It's not just like his knee or his leg or his ankle. It's like everything. And he's just really falling apart. And it sucks because I think he's just such a great talent. I've loved him since his college days, watching him grow and develop into the player that he developed into. And then just got that injury, that very real significant injury with the Celtics. It's just kind of been downhill ever since. And he was a piece that I believe the Lakers could have used as leverage to not have to give up assets. And I think he's a piece that the Lakers could have really used, right? But now it makes zero sense for the Lakers to make any type of trade for Gordon Hayward or any team in general. I think the Hornets are basically just stuck with Gordon Hayward. Maybe next year will be a little easier because he is an expiring deal. So maybe some team would be willing to do it. But even if you're the Hornets, you're not giving up assets to unload Gordon Hayward, and you're kind of a rebuilding team. So what are you taking on to make a deal like that? If he was some add-in, I always talked about how it would, I wouldn't mind it, right? If you could do some deal with PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, and Terry Rozier, and maybe Gordon Hayward is that fourth option, right? They just hey, take all of our guys. We'll take Russ, Nunn, Beverly, and Damian Jones or whatever, right? Boom, here's all these guys. You take them. Sure, why not? Because at that point you have enough to weather the storm. But now that Gordon Hayward is injured, it makes no sense. You cannot go and trade for him, even as an add-on, even as a throw-in. You're better off just trying to work something out. But now it makes things really interesting because what type of Hornets deal are you going to do? Unless you're just trading for Terry Rozier straight up, cool. I wouldn't mind it depending on what you give up. I'd imagine you're not giving up a first in that deal because, you're taking on $100 million in salary. But even if not, if you wanted to move Russ, right? Then I don't know if you get there with a Hornets deal anymore. If you could get PJ Washington, I would absolutely love that. PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, and Terry Rozier, that would be a solid return. But what would the Lakers be willing to give up? And would the Hornets be willing to accept something like that, right? Because again, the whole leverage, it would be Gordon Hayward. You could make an argument, let's say the Hornets want both firsts for PJ Washington and Kelly Oubre. Well, you could be okay, we'll tell you what, we'll take Gordon Hayward and clear his salary off the books for you and clear all of your salary off the books, and we'll just take everybody, because at that point you're going all in, right? So it makes sense. Why not? But if Gordon Hayward is a guy that isn't going to play and he's going to miss the entire season, you can't get there. You can't. It makes no sense to do that. Even if he is an expiring contract next year, you're basically stuck with him for at least a whole year of him not playing, and then next season whatever happens. Where it's if he could stay healthy, you play him in spots. Okay, cool. If you could get 50 games out of him this year and have him healthy come playoff time, he could be a real contributor. He could be a real factor. But now it's just it just makes no sense. And I think it just really impacts any kind of Hornets deal, any kind of Hornets trade, because I think now any deal you're talking about is going to be for actual guys that other players would or other teams would want. Other teams would be willing to go after PJ Washington. Other teams would be willing to probably go after Kelly Oubre because he's an expiring contract, right? And he's a guy that's playing pretty good this year for the Hornets. And then Terry Rozier, maybe he's kind of the solo guy that teams wouldn't, not that I don't think teams would want him, but just because of his contract and what you'd have to give up and what you'd have to trade, I don't think you get there. But the one kind of like bonus the Lakers have of like, oh, hey, look at what we got that no other team can, is the ability to take on Gordon Hayward, right? Like, so not only can we take Terry Rozier's $100 million, but we could also take on Gordon Hayward and his $50 million. And that has a ton of value in and of itself, right? I mean, you can make an argument that has multiple draft pick value because you're moving off of so much salary in that kind of deal, in that kind of swing. So it's like, no, we're not giving you both first round picks. That makes no sense because we're taking on $150 million. Well, now the Hornets can look at it and go, well, you're not going to take Gordon Hayward now, are you? Well, no, we're not. Okay, well then, why now would we be willing to not take both firsts? So now I think it makes it a lot harder. I would love to get Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington, and Terry Rozier. I think those three guys are all three like starting level guys that you could start and play. I think all three guys would make a huge impact on this Laker team. That's three guys that can give you 20 a night if you need them to. Guys that can score, guys that can put the ball on the floor, guys that can defend, guys that, can do a lot of things. Play multiple positions, which is nice. I think that they would be great quality pieces for the Lakers. But I just I don't know if maybe it doesn't affect it at all. You know what I mean? Maybe the Hornets, because they do have to make a decision, right? And now they're stuck in the mud right now, especially with Gordon Hayward. So now they got to figure out what they're going to do with Miles Bridges, and are they going to pay him? PJ Washington, his contract's coming up. You have to move off of guys, right? Like, so do you move off of PJ Washington or do you move off of Miles Bridges? That is a decision that is very likely going to have to be decided by the Hornets. And if you're the Lakers and you could get and snag PJ Washington or even Miles Bridges, I would actually rather have Miles Bridges from just a basketball standpoint. I know some people might feel otherwise, just for morality reasons, which I completely understand that as well. But like, just from like a basketball standpoint, Miles Bridges solves basically all of the Lakers' needs, right? Everything. You get a 20-point per game scorer that's a sizable wing that can guard multiple positions, do multiple things. Like, that would be ideal for the Lakers, especially if you could also get Terry Rozier and a Kelly Oubre, But I just think the Hornets, they're stuck with Gordon Hayward for at least another year and a half. I'm sure that they would move off of Terry Rozier for the right price. And I'm sure that they would move off of PJ Washington for the right price. So if you're the Lakers, can you come to that right price? But I feel like they really lose that bargaining chip of like at any point, if things are going bad and, you want to get the deal, it's like, well, we'll just take Gordon Hayward. It's like, oh, okay, well, cool. Now we just freed all your cap space. You're welcome. And now we're in a position to where now we got 4 legit rotation guys, a guy that could be, a third best player on any team, and Gordon Hayward, he just can't stay healthy, but you could at least weather the health storm. But he's already hurt. So it's like, man, like, like if it was something, where he was going to miss like 2 weeks or something, like then maybe, maybe you take a chance and hope like he comes back, maybe he stay healthy. Maybe you have enough to kind of just let him sit a little bit and, maybe play in spots and just kind of keep him healthy for the playoffs. But even then, it's like, I don't know. I think the Lakers lose impactful leverage piece. And like I said, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't affect anything. Maybe it doesn't matter either way, right? Maybe the Lakers were never going to take on Gordon Hayward. Maybe, the Hornets were never going to even do a deal with the Lakers other than maybe like Terry Rozier by himself. Maybe the Lakers maybe they don't want anybody else. Maybe they just want Terry Rozier. Again, it's all just guessing. It's all just speculation. But one thing I do know is that the Lakers legitimately always had that option of like, we'll just take on Gordon Hayward. And Gordon Hayward could be an impactful player for the Lakers and be a perfect, proposition type player. But now they lose that sort of leverage. I mean, they could still take him on, but at this point for the Lakers, why? Like, why would you ever do that? It makes no sense unless you were able to do it and not give up any picks. Let's say they were just like, we just want to move off of Gordon Hayward. We'll give you PJ Washington. Like, give us, Damian Jones, Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, Russell Westbrook. we'll give you Washington, Rozier, Kelly Oubre, and we want you to take Gordon Hayward. Give us like 2 seconds just to feel like we won. But we just want to be off of Gordon Hayward's contract. Like, right? Like maybe you do something like that because you still have both your firsts. So maybe you could use Gordon Hayward and maybe and use one of those firsts or both of those firsts to go get another piece. Maybe something like that. Maybe go take on some other long, because at that point you're going all in, right? You got Rozier for the next 4 years. You got PJ Washington. He's going to need a new extension, so you're going to have to pay him, right? So you basically are stuck with this team for at least the next 3-4 years. So maybe you could justify moving Gordon Hayward because you're not a rebuilding team like the Hornets are. So maybe you could trade Gordon Hayward to a team and take on longer term salary. Maybe you could do something like that. Maybe you could swap Gordon Hayward for like a Duncan Robinson at that point, and you hope Duncan Robinson can kind of reinvigorate himself, like get back to what he was at one point. I don't know. It gives you options. I don't think it's like completely out of the realm of possibility. I just think if you're the Lakers at this point, it makes no sense unless you can just, unless you basically like the deal is like you give up, you don't have to give us anything, just take Gordon Hayward. Like maybe you do that and you just set him out just to kind of be in that position. But would Genie even want to pay his money to do that? I don't know. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. What do you think of this news? Do you think it impacts the Lakers and Hornets potential trade? Do you think it doesn't? Would you, if it meant no picks, like no first at least, because you probably have to give some seconds, maybe a pick swap. But if you didn't have to give up the 27th and 29th pick, would you take on Gordon Hayward? It's a real question. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know. Good, bad, ugly, somewhere between.